Has everybody taken a chance to look over our Downtown Development Authority minutes? If so, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I got a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
I got a motion and a second. All in favor? All right, moving on down to number 3, the financial part. Mr. Carr?
Yeah, for the DDA, I didn't print anything out because there hasn't been a whole lot of activity in that account. As far as the city funding goes, there's been no activity in that since May, so we haven't used any of that since May. We had just a few expenses this past month, small little thing from ACRA for the farmer's market, and then $900 for the Welcome Center, groundbreaking the sign that's out in front of the Welcome Center. It's not on any report you have. And then $355 for some promotional items for the Welcome Center.
And that's for the DDA?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think we wrote a check for 54 something for the roof. Is that right?
Yep.
Come out.
I don't have that.
Yep, we just wrote it
Just
last Friday, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
no
was
one's
a
told me
partial-
about that yet.
That was a partial payment then, is that right?
Yeah, we have about $19,000 left to pay for the roof. Yep.
And right now in the DDA account is $105,634. Like I said, the report I already passed
Okay.
out is for the
Convention.
Convention and Visitor
Okay.
Bureau.
Any questions? The roof contract, just a payment, then we'll get that back into our account. Isn't that right, Chris?
Yep. Well, what we did was we used the funds for the gateway signs that we already had, because once we make that drawdown from the city, that's the part of the loan that we're paying back. So I figured we'd just let them keep that until we need it.
Consultant fee and the roof contract, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And like I said, we still have $105,000 in the account. So.
Okay, we'll move on down to number 4, Downtown Development Welcome Center update. Yours, Mr. Chris?
Yes, sir. Well, as you all saw, they have dried in the roof. They had to order the metal. There's a metal perimeter that goes around that finishes off the edge, drips the water out, and they had to get the gutters made for the back. So they should be in this week to finish that, and then they'll be 100% done with the roof. We have been getting status updates from the consultant. He goes out at least 3 times a week to look and make sure the status and the update of the roof and everything's being installed correctly. So we do get those reports when he does that. Everything is pretty much going to plan. They had said if they didn't have to wait 30 days to get a payment, that they would just forego the contingency fee. There was a contingency built in there for overages. They said if we can get them a check without having to wait 30 days, that they would just give us the project at the base price that they bid out, which I thought was fair. That's going to save us a little bit of money, because they did have to go over, because when they pulled the roof off, there was some stuff that they had to replace that we didn't know about, which was what was built in the contingency. So I felt like on our side, that was a pretty good deal if we can get it for what they bid, the base price. And it's just as easy as us just coordinate getting a check sent up and signed. The DDA's already pretty much approved the base price when we accepted the bid, so it just made sense from us, for our standpoint, to do it. After that, we have some crews scheduled to go in to do the demo. When I say crews, inmate crews to go in, do demo of the stuff that we're not going to keep. So that will save us some money having them do it as opposed to paying a contractor to do it. We're also going to try to coordinate with Public Works for the parts that they can actually physically build, because they build a whole bunch of stuff for the city you really don't even know about. So if we can get them to build, and if we can get it built for what it costs us for materials, and that's going to save us a ton of money, because obviously your labor is the biggest part of what you're spending on any of this anyways. Yes, sir.
What type of stuff are you talking about?
Well, just like walls, if we need walls inside of it. There won't be any structural stuff because we're not adding on to the building. So if we need to build a wall for an office, if we need to install walls for the bathroom, I mean, they do that for the city, well, basically on a daily basis. They're putting offices in the Avanti building right now, so,
So you're talking about 2x4 walls with sheet rock?
yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Another question, have we really decided what kind of interior walls we want to keep in that building?
Well, we're not the only thing we're taking out is a cinder block half wall that's dividing the first two bays. That's coming out to open that space. We are going to take out some of the walls for the bathrooms. The bathrooms face the exterior, so we need to turn them around so we can access them from the inside of the building. So there'll be some demo related to that. But other than that, we're not really taking out anything else.
Are the inside walls brick?
No, not these. The walls in between the bathrooms are like a stucco finish. They're not.
But what's under the stucco?
Well, I don't know. That'd be for them to determine once they start tearing down the wall. But I would assume it's probably plaster, and I know inside it's the tiles on the inside of the bathroom itself.
Well,
But I would be surprised if that's cinder block in that wall.
a lot of the old buildings, and I have redone 3 of them, the plaster was on brick. And this very well might be the same thing on some of that.
Right.
And I would hope that we plan on saving the brick walls that we can save and utilizing them as part of the interior when it's finished.
Well, we're not, like I said, other than for the bathrooms, we're not really adding too many more walls.
I'm not talking about
Inside.
adding walls. I'm talking about the existing outside walls there.
Oh, there won't be any perimeter walls taken down.
Are they stuccoed or is it exposed brick? Because I haven't been in it. I don't know what's
Yeah. Inside, it's brick.
brick.
It's all exposed brick, yeah. And the new part is cinder block.
Yeah, well, the new part was added on much later than the original building was.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, none of the exterior walls will be taken out. The half wall that's in there was something that was added later, which is about as high as the podium. So, I mean, that's not something that is contributing to the actual historical aspect of the building.
I was talking more about how we're going to treat the interior brick walls more than anything else.
Oh, the plan there is just to get the loose paint off of it and then just whitewash it back white. We're not going to do anything to it. We're not adding anything, taking anything down. Just clean it up, get all the loose paint off of it, and go back with a whitewash finish, and it'll look pretty much like it does now, just not bad.
What about the brick still look good?
Yeah. What about considering, and I think we should consider, leaving the brick exposed rather than whitewashing it?
We could do that. We can look at that. It just depends on what it looks like when we clean it up. Because it may not be appealing once you get it all clean. Because, I mean, there's a lot of that paint going to have to come off.
Yeah,
Because it's already chipped and it's water damaged and stuff like that.
on an interior wall, though, we can use a sandblaster. It's the exterior walls that we don't use a sandblaster on.
Well, the exterior walls are all natural bricks, so we're
Right.
not going to do anything to those
Right,
anyways. Yeah.
but the interior walls can be sandblasted.
Well, if that's the direction we want to go, we can definitely look at that.
I'd like to look at it anyway.
Yeah, but we can explore that, obviously. So.
I think we should.
Yeah.
That is basically how we've redone several older buildings downtown. And the response has been very good to that.
Okay.
So before we make a decision to whitewash
Wash
it,
them.
I think we need to have a prayer meeting over it.
We can discuss it, for sure.
Okay. Well, now,
I'm not necessarily sold on the fact we need to spray them down, sandblast them down to the brick. I know we've had that discussion a whole bunch about exterior. The interior of a building is a lot different than that,
It is.
so we can,
Yeah.
and I don't know that that was how the building was originally done. My best guess is the building was totally white when it was built in the first place, so it's probably more historically accurate to have it white, but we can definitely explore the options.
Yeah. When do you perceive that to be a DDA decision or a city decision or a Christopher Pike decision?
Note well taken, Mr. Taylor. I'll let the DDA decide what color they want the inside of the building.
Thank you.
All right, anything else on the Welcome Center update?
No, sir.
All right, moving on down to B, Gateway signage update.
Yes, sir. We've been diligently working with the contractor on this particular project. They have finishing touches on their designs for the signs. They will send those to us for final approval. Then we will then go to the next phase where they'll actually start manufacturing the signs. Concurrently with that, we're working with the city attorney to get easement right-of-ways because all of the gateway signs will be on private property. So we'll need to have right-of-way acquisition for those private properties so we can go on, obviously install the sign and then do maintenance and upkeep after they're installed. So we'll need to get the proper rights to do that. So we're working on that as well. So hopefully here, the next month or two, we should get some forward positive progress on this. So
So the company is just about finished then.
well, they're not finished. They've done all the, because they had to do designs for us to prove, they'll get those to us for approval before they actually start manufacturing the signs.
Do you anticipate the property owner wanting to lease for a certain value?
We don't know the answer to that yet. We haven't contacted all of them. There's two that we've talked to. One of them is a property that Tom Large owns, and the other one is one that the city already has some right-of-way to put stuff on. So it would just be formalizing that agreement, and they generally have been pretty amenable to working with us. The other ones, we haven't, I haven't had any contact with them, but the attorney has been contacting them about whether or not there's going to be any.
But there's only 4 of them, right?
There are 4 right now. There'll be a 5th one once the connector is built.
Okay.
Anything else on Gateway signs?
Nope, that's it.
All right, move on down to number 5, old business.
I have none.
No old business. We'll go down to number 6, new business. Directors and officers liability insurance. I think Tracy said a check was in the mail on that.
I haven't sent her anything.
Oh, okay. Well, mine might be in the mail then. She said we had to have a check for insurance on something though.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
They haven't sent us the invoice for it yet,
Okay.
so I don't know. I know how much it is because that's what, when they gave us a price quote, but that was just the quote, it wasn't the invoice for it.
Just FYI, that's just $5 more than last year.
Yep.
And last year was paid on October 27th, so probably getting an invoice soon.
So, so it went into effect August 24th, so, and this is just director's liability in case you all
Get sued.
do something and get sued, you will be covered
Under the city.
by the DDA and not by your personal assets. Not that they won't try to come after your personal assets, but. The only other new thing I just wanted to share with you all, updates about what's going on, just to keep you in the loop. We have met with the city manager and the city council to come up with ideas and goals and objectives for 2018. I was asked to put down some of my thoughts along with
That's the last one, Bill.
some goals and objectives for the functional area. We'll wait for the train. All right, that sounds like he's about done. So I just wanted to share this with you all just for information. And you all can feel free to email me any comments, feedback, other things, but these are just some things that we're currently working on that we are trying to move forward. I will say one of the things that I proposed, and not sure if it's going to happen or not, is for the DDA to basically enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the city for development services for the city. There's a lot of cities that do that. Basically, we're asking for the same type of relationship that Carroll Tomorrow has with the city, where every year there's an annual line item that is designated to Carroll Tomorrow to do economic development. From a county standpoint, we're just basically making that same recommendation for the DDA. What that allows us to do is to have money that's not tied up or connected to a loan or something that we got to pay back, but for services to help us do projects and kick off projects. Because the reality is the DDA has a lot of authority and a lot of power, but all of that's predicated by having money to be able to do it. So if you don't have any funds, you're just kind of meeting just to speak to each other every month. So we're trying to help get funds so that we can actually start doing some significant projects.
Got a question on the food truck program. How did that go this year?
We have not done that yet.
What-
This is stuff that we're proposing to do in
Okay.
2018.
They didn't have one last?
They have a gentleman, well, the city has an ordinance that has allowed food trucks. We haven't put together a project from a city standpoint as it relates to how that works and looks. What we do, if people come to us and say, hey, we want to set up a food truck,
On Mondays only, right?
yeah, on Mondays, we will allow them to do that. We explain to them that there's no program, we haven't developed a program related to that. In other words, we haven't set up an event where we do marketing and advertising and all that related to it. So we don't say they can't do it, because they can, because the ordinance says they can, but we don't have any program from a Main Street perspective to promote that.
Isn't that going to be more viable once we finish with the visitors?
Well, that was one of the reasons why we haven't launched that off yet, because we were going to do it in conjunction with the Welcome Center, so the food trucks could be on site, and then they can sit, either in the Welcome Center and eat type situation. So that was one of the reasons why we haven't really developed the program and the project yet.
Speaking of that, what is the situation with that billboard down there on the convention center property? Or the offices anyway?
We haven't had any discussion with the owner of that billboard. Up until this point, they've been paying their annual fee. We'll be due for another check in January.
Isn't that leased up?
I think this coming year's their last year, I think, on the lease.
2018 is the last year?
I think that, if memory serves me right, that's the last year on it. Because I think when we took over, they had 2 years, and I think 17 was the first year, and I think 18 is the last of that 2 year.
Well, the removal of that sign will add several parking places down there because of the maneuverability that it'll give everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, it'll meet the goals of the DDA.
Okay. All right.
Moving on down to number 7, public comment.
Do I need to speak here, or can I just speak here?
Either way.
Well, your thing is probably more suited for the CVB meeting.
Oh, it is. Well, you just pointed at me.
Well, if he would like to speak.
No, I understand. No, there's 2 meetings that happen, DDA meeting and the CVB meeting. You probably want the second one.
We'll make you wait, then.
I already know what he's coming. He's coming to ask for money. I already know what he's here for.
All right, item for future agenda. Executive session. Have a motion to adjourn.
Yes.
Got a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion second, all in favor? All right, this one was over at 6:35. We'll call the CVB meeting to order. Has everybody taken a chance to look over the minutes from our last July 24th meeting? If so, do I have a motion?
Motion.
I got a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? All right, moving on down to number 3, financial report. Mr. Carl?
All right, this one you do have a report for us, that report I gave you. On one side, you've got, since the Convention and Visitors Bureau started, that's on the side that just says August 28, 17 at the top of the column, and you'll see that we've got net income $13,465. So that's how much we have in the bank right now. That's, all of our tax collections minus our expenses, that's what we have left. The back of it's just what's happened in the past month since our last meeting. Take a look at that if you have any questions about anything. And this does reflect all the things that we approved the last meeting, the sponsorship of the rodeo and the Taste of Villarica. All those payments have been made.
And we're about to do a payment for the Motel Hotel.
We usually get those, we'll probably get it in a couple weeks. Yeah.
Is it
This is-
open yet? Is the new one open yet?
No.
No, it probably won't. It probably
Probably
won't
won't.
until the end of the year. Yeah, probably won't be until then. Obviously it's rained a ton, so that's put them back a lot, so.
That thing's not being built by Georgia Power, is it?
I have no idea.
Any questions on the financial report? All right, move on down to number 4, tourism. Anything, Chris?
Nope, I don't have anything.
All right, any old business? Any new business?
Yep, I got, passing around a publication. This is pretty much a hangover, passover, crossover from the old organization to the new organization. If you look on page 16 in the booklet, you'll see the ad. This was last done by the Villarica Tourism Bureau. What we're proposing is just to carry over and still advertise in this publication. As you all know, anything over $1,500 comes to the DDA for approval. And what we've done is we've updated the ad, which is what is in your packet, the updated ad. The reason why we're recommending still staying with this publication is distributed throughout the whole state. So anytime we can get an opportunity to get statewide coverage, it's obviously beneficial for us from a tourism standpoint. And it's an annual publication, so it's not something that has a shelf life other than when it turns a new calendar year. So these come out at the Governor's Conference on Tourism, and so they do a large distribution there, and then they're at all the welcome centers. There's also an app component and a website component to this, so we'll also have advertisement on both in the app and the website in addition to this booklet. So it's really a good value for the money, especially since it's for a year. And that is the recommendation from the staff. That's $2,620.
And this is in welcome centers and so forth, is that?
Yeah, throughout the state, yeah. And of course, we keep them, the regional visitor centers have them. We have them in our regional visitor center. There'll be other ones
When we
throughout the
open
state.
our welcome center here, we'll have them there also, right?
Yeah, absolutely, yep.
Is this going to be a change of layout? I see.
Yeah, see, this, last year they did a vertical one, this year they're horizontal, so that's why it looks different in this year's publication.
So we need a motion for this one?
Yes, sir. Mhm.
All right, do we have a motion to spend $2,620 for Discover Georgia Trails?
I'll make a motion that we do it.
Okay, got a motion by Carl, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, motion and a second, all in favor? All right, we'll move on down to public comment now. Number 7.
Try again.
Oh, you brought me to number 1?
You got one.
I didn't get one.
Miller to Go Rush, the previous tourist people.
Hey, Rusty, come up to the microphone, yeah?
For the record, Go Rush 5K, and tourism has always been a sponsor, and it's part of the Go Rush Festival, has been forever. The proceeds from the road race, there's a contribution made to the Explorer Scouts that the police department sponsors. The high school track team gets the high school cross country team gets a contribution. Shop with the Top gets a contribution. That's kind of where the proceeds, the profits go to, and there's usually around, on average, lately we've been running about 200 runners that come in for the event, and a high percentage of them stay and go through the festival and that sort of stuff. And I'm asking for the tourism to continue being a sponsor.
What was our sponsor about? Do you know, Chris or Rusty? The sponsor amount for last year? 5 is in
500.
500, okay. There's 100 and 1,000.
I'm sure Rusty would take 5.
Yeah, I mean, I won't fight you about it, but 500 is what it's what that's been.
Do you know what the amount that was generated, that was given between the high school, the Explorers collectively?
I want to say it was a little over $1,000 last year. The last year was, for some unknown reason, well, I know some of the reasons, but anyway, the numbers of runners last year were off about somewhere around 40 or 50 to normal. One of the things was there was a high school track meet in Carrollton, cross-country track meet that day that is normally not that weekend, but it was, and that took all the local and a lot of the regional kids that if they don't have a track meet, these cross-country kids, they will find them a 5K and run it most weekends. And so that took a good bit of those folks, out of it. And there's just a lot of events now that they're more than they used to be. When we started doing this, the closest race on that day was in Winder. There, 3 years ago, I think it was, I looked it up, and it was 13 races this side of Atlanta on that day. So, but having said that, the running community has grown tremendously, and like I said, for the last till last year, we had been running a little over 200 every year. The year before, we were at 228, I think it was, and like, for some unknown reason, other than the school kids, just the numbers dropped a little bit.
And the runners pay an entry fee?
Yes.
How do you advertise that, Rusty?
We're part of there's a running series, Running See Georgia, and the out of Atlanta puts it on, and you can be a member of that. I think it's $200 a year, and they produce a magazine, and then they send out entry forms to their member runners, and then if you pay another couple $100, then they have your numbers, your entry form information, and all the local entry forms that are associates of it, and they send all of those people in addition a
Entry form.
application, and then locally we, you know, the gyms and that kind of thing, and some places in Carrollton. And then just by virtue of having done this for a long time, you know, people just know that it's going to happen on that day.
The route that you run here in Villa Rica, how does it stack up to other 5K routes that you're aware of? Is it more or less challenging? You know, how does it stack up?
Do you know the hill on North Avenue?
I certainly do.
Do you know the hill on Old Stone Road coming up toward
I do.
the hospital? Okay, well, you know that it's challenging.
Yeah, but how does it stack up? You have run them all over, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little more challenging than most of them,
Uh-huh.
but that's not something that bothers most runners. They don't mind an occasional challenge, and a lot of runners would, unless they're trying to run a personal best for some reason, they don't like the flat courses. I don't like to run a flat course. It's just not as much fun.
Mhm.
You don't get to coast downhill.
I assume that the other spots are 250. Is that? I see that the two to the left of tourism would equate to about the same size.
Yes, they're actually two. The Sheriff Southwire and the other one there, they all pay full amount, and the two that are just name and one-liners, they're low.
That's hard for me to read, Rusty.
H. Steve Woodall,
No, I mean the color
color shirt and the purple.
difference is just,
Yeah, it's
the contrast is not much.
Should have whitewashed it.
That would have been a good use for one.
I got the year before's, and it was a white T-shirt with a kind of a burnt brownish kind of color ink. But
You'll have a better one this year, right?
we'll have it's going to be a lighter color shirt this year.
One that even I can read.
I think you'll be able to.
Okay.
I think you will. The shirts, the design on the shirts are done by Clint Samples,
Cindy.
local artist, professor at West Georgia College, renowned for his stranglehold on the
Peachtree
t-shirt
Road.
contest at Peachtree.
Yeah.
So we have I think a good looking T-shirt.
It is a good-looking T-shirt if you can see all the detail on it.
Yeah, I won't say that. People younger than us, Bill, can see it better.
Well taken.
Before we vote, I would like to say I'm all for anything that brings folks to downtown Villa Rica. My biggest concern as I look at it financially, if the shirt's generating roughly $2,000 in sponsorship revenue, and we're only able to give back to the community as far as through the Explorers and through the high school, the $1,000 is I guess where I see a little concern. But if the numbers were low, I'd like to see where it could go. But it does give me a little concern that we're
I think,
generating more in sponsorship than we're able to give back ultimately.
yeah. I'm probably low on that because I think the track club got 4 and cross country got about that, and I think the Explorers got 4 or 5, and then Shop for Cop got a couple of hundred.
Probably.
But it's somewhere in that neighborhood.
Sure.
And there's generally, I mean, I don't try to make any excess money, whatever there is, we try to give away that year, and I've got enough seed money that I can do it 1 year if I made no money. And that's just kind of what I've always done, is just make sure that I've got enough left over that I can do next year.
Yep.
If everything went wrong, I can
Okay.
still put the race on one more time.
Okay.
Ryan, he's been doing this for I don't know how many years. I mean, a long time. You can tell by his whiskers that he,
I'm not a rookie. In pretty much any league, I'm not a rookie.
and if a good many of these people stay for the Gold Rush Festival and patronize the vendors and the downtown businesses and maybe come back the next week, it's kind of a hard thing to put your finger on.
Certainly.
And during a long time, the first Gold Rush race was run in '77.
You was a young man then, wasn't you?
Yeah, I was even faster. I quit running it just because of the embarrassment factor.
So we need a motion for a $500.
So moved.
All right, motion to have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
I do thank y'all,
Thank you, Rusty.
and we'll be using your logo, the current logo,
The shirt.
on the shirt.
Rusty didn't tell you, I already put our logo on the shirt.
I
I didn't want to say that. We didn't have to give him any money. Our logo was still going on the shirt.
I was gonna make my presentation, and I had said to Chris that, I said, the tourism organization has always been good to the race, and I said, whether they vote up or down, I said, I'm putting it on, this year for that purpose, because it's the right thing to do.
Thank you for all your hard work, though. I know how it is for Gold Rush.
You got a little experience there.
That's right, a few years.
Thank you for your years of volunteering,
Yeah.
Rusty.
And if any of y'all would like to run the race, you get a complimentary,
I'll run the downhill part.
It's that North Avenue hill that scares me.
The one for that, right, Bill?
Yeah.
you're in pretty good shape if you don't get scared.
All right, we'll move on down. Thank you, Rusty. Items for future agenda. Anything? Executive session? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
6:52, record time.